All right, how many of you guys know what a square root is? Bethany, give me an example of a nice square root.
Like 3 squared would be 9.
Okay, but what about the root part? You're on the right track, Nick. There we go. The square root of 9 is 3, right? But you're still thinking the right way. Okay, higher order roots. Who can give me an example of a higher order root? Yeah, Andrew.
8.
Nice. The cube root of 8 is 2. That's a higher order root. All right, and then evaluating with plus or minus. So we'll add and subtract them. Okay, the definition of square root, you don't have to write this down. If x is greater than 0, then the square root of x is a positive real number such that the square root of x squared is x. So how do you undo a square root? Like if I have this equals 3. If I were solving it, how do I undo it? So to get rid of a root, we square both sides. That undoes the root and is equal to x. That's all that's saying. Okay? All right, so let's try some problems. So write this down. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2. So there's a couple ways to think of this. We can actually multiply anything under the house together. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then what's the square root of 4? 2. So notice what happens when I multiply a root times itself. It undoes the root, right? It got rid of the root part of it. So the square root of a times the square root of a. Again, 2 ways to think of this. What is a times a, you guys? A squared. So if I square root a squared, I get a. Or you could skip right to a because the root undoes itself when you're squaring it. You're doing it twice, so it undoes itself. So for this one, I don't really want to multiply that out, right? And so, Nico, what's my answer? Yeah, way easier if I just do that than trying to multiply and then square root it. Makes sense? Okay. Using a calculator, evaluate the square root of 17 to 4 decimal places. I think we should all be able to pull this one off, right? Yay, we can use a calculator and plug it in. All right, hopefully we all know where to find the square root on our Inspires if you guys have that. I think it's kind of on the left-hand side. You have to press the blue control button, and Ben's already got it for us. So the square root of 17, and we're going to round to 4 decimals. So we've got, instead of 3, that's kind of weird for us, but that would be 1, 2, 3, 1. This one said to go to 4 places, even though we normally go to 3. So read the directions. If it says 4, let's do 4. And that's all we have to do on this one. Pretty easy. Just plug and chug. Okay. All right. Without using a calculator, write the squares of the counting numbers 1 through 20. It's a good idea to have some of these memorized, even some of the higher ones. So that way your brain, it's so much faster if you're like, oh, I know the square root of 225. What? All right, so let's try it. 1 squared, Nate, is 1. Good. 2 squared, Dylan, is 4. We're going to write these down. I know you know them. I don't care. Write them down. Okay, 3 squared, Ella, is 9. Good. And Riley, we're writing these down. 4 squared is, Isaac, what? 16. Good. 5 squared, Caleb, is 25. Excellent. And 6 squared, Evan, is 36. Okay, and 7 squared, Andrew, is 49. And 8 squared, Evie, 64. And 9 squared, Micaiah, 81. And 10 squared, Jordan, is good, 100. And 11 squared. All right, they're going to get a little harder, so raise your hand if you know 11 squared. Leah. Nice, 121. You kind of want to memorize that one. It's a good one to know. 12 squared, I'm kind of confident. I bet a lot of you guys know this one. These ones. Sophie. Yes, excellent. I love it. 13 squared, Nick. All right, way to go. Anyone know? Now it gets a little trickier. 14 squared, I've actually got this one down, but I've been teaching math for a lot of years. Anybody know? Without the calculator. You guys are like, I'll just plug it in. What'd you get? Oh, nope, nope, nope. Yeah, 196. 196. And 15 squared, Isaac, 225. All right, they're definitely going to get harder now. 16 squared. Is it 216? 16? No? That's 6 times 6 times 6, I think. Yeah. Okay, 256. Ooh, 17 squared. I think I do know this one. 289? Is that it? Someone double check me. Oh my gosh. I'm being so good at this. 18 squared. Is that 324? I did not know that one. 19 squared. I don't know this one either. 361. All right, and I think I know 20 squared. You guys know 20 squared? 400. All right, good. This is a good row to maybe try to memorize this year. You probably know 1 through 100. Maybe this year try to get some 11 through 15s in. It does help if you know them. Okay. All right. Without using a calculator, determine between what two consecutive integers the square root of 27 lies. I like these problems. All right, we did these in pre-algebra. So 27 is in the, oops, my brain wrote 29. That was weird. Okay, so 27, if we go back to this page, 27 falls in between what two perfect square numbers? So what two perfect square numbers, Corey? Yeah. Right, it's between 25 and 36. So because it's between 25 and 36, well, actually, too, which one's it closer to, you guys? 25. So my answer is going to be closer to which number? No? 5, right? If we're taking the square root of it. So go back to this guy. It's going to be in between 5 and 6. So we write it like that. 5 is less than the square root of 27 is less than 6. So the square root of 27 is in between the whole numbers 5 and 6, but probably closer to 5 because 27 is pretty close to 25. Okay, so we can make a good estimate. Be sure you do not use a calculator on those so you get practice, right? Okay. Higher order roots. Now we're going to kind of talk about cube roots and fourth roots. So if we cube a cube root right here, this cubes a cube root, it gets rid of it and you just get x. And if we take the fourth power of a fourth root, it gets rid of it and we just get x. So go ahead and write those yellow boxes down. Yeah. It cancels itself out just like when we square a square root. So to undo a cube root, it has to be something cubed. You have an answer for me, Isaac? You have a question? Okay, what's your question?
If the 3 is the exponent,
Yeah.
except you didn't have the exponent.
If you had what?
Like,
give me an example. 3 on the root. That? Just wrote it 3 times? Yes. Yes. Same thing. Good. So he's saying, is that also equal to x? Yes. So if you wrote it 3 times, you're cubing it. It's the same concept. Then you get x. Just like when we did the square, we wrote it twice. We got the number inside. Okay. All right. So what's the cube root of 8? Where was I? Ben, what do you think? It is 2, right? Because this number multiplied 3 times is 8. So for the next one, we're looking for a number multiplied 4 times to get 81. Leah? Good. All right, thanks. I think that's taking care of 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. All right, write down the next one. Now we were dealing with some negatives. Can we do the cube root of -8? Is there a number multiplied, the same number, 3 times to get -8? Nick? Yes. -2 times -2 times -2. So can we take the cube root of a negative? Yes, every time. So make a note of this. If you have what's called an odd, this is called the index. Okay, if you have an odd one of those, you can always do it. Yay, math. Okay. If you have an even one, let's think about this guy. So I would think -3, right, in my head, maybe. If I multiply a negative times a negative times a negative times a negative, do I get a negative? No. This would be positive 81. Can we ever take the fourth root of a negative number? No. Evan, do you have a thought for me? Close. Not impossible, but this special word, I think I said it the other day. Corey. Imaginary. These are imaginary. So someday, in Algebra 2 next year, you will learn that the answer is 3i. But don't worry about that for now, okay? You don't have to do that. For now, you're going to be like, it's not possible. There's no real solution because it's not a real number. So anytime it's even, so again, if let's say I'm doing the square root of -9. Not possible, all right? Because -3 times -3 is positive. But eventually, you guys will learn that this is 3i. Okay. Here we go. Evaluate. Let's try some more. Not possible. All right. Cube root of -27. Let's go, Jackie. Do you know this one? Very good. It is possible because we have an odd number right here, so we can do it. All right. Now we're just going to see if we can remember some of these because our life's easier if we can. So Alex, what's the square root of 81? 9. And Riley, what's the square root of 144? 12. And Corey, if I subtract those, what do I get? Good. So these are going to be fun to add to our repertoire. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to say the square root of 9, so write it down like that. Okay? Write this one down. -1 squared with no parentheses plus -2 squared with parentheses, and it's inside the parentheses, plus or minus the square root of 9. We're going to have two answers for plus and minus. -1 squared. Aaron, what is that? Very good. We're only squaring the 1. The negative stays in front. Okay? -2 squared. Bethany, what's that? Good. It is +4 because the negative is in parentheses. Plus or minus. And Josh, what's the square root of 9? 3. Okay, let's go from left to right. So I'm going to add -1 plus 4. That would be 3. Now we have plus or minus 3. That means I have one solution that is 3 plus 3 and one solution that is 3 minus 3. Okay, both answers. So, Sophia, what do I get for my two answers? Yep. Yep. Okay, Leah? All right, excellent. So, whiteboards. Grab